Welcome to CNTV. I'm Brad Clonch.
And I'm Quin Tran. The talent of a Chickasaw citizen is inspiring people to learn about First American culture and family history.
Brandi Berry Benson is having a season of premieres. This month, the violinist and her ensemble performed for the first time her latest composition. It's titled Songs of the Chickasaws, Epic Tales Told Through Music.
The Chickasaw musician connects with us from Chicago to share more about her journey as a composer and violinist.
So I grew up learning violin, classical violin, but at the same time was learning bluegrass music by ear. That's my origin story when I started music in general. And in my hometown, there was a thriving bluegrass community in addition to a thriving orchestra program in schools. And so I was fortunate to have both kind of side by side. And I think with Baroque music, I saw that there were elements of more opportunities for improvisation and just, I think when I actually started going to school for violin performance at University of North Texas, they had a Baroque orchestra and they were playing on period instruments and talking about ornamentation, improvisation, and just the way that the orchestra played. I just was drawn to the sound right away. When you think about Baroque music, I mean, a lot of textbooks really define it as 1600 to 1750. And it's interesting because in the Baroque period too, there's also a very strong folk tradition within the European countries as well. And so there's a lot of intermingling with that, a lot of intersection with art music and folk music. And I just felt that embodied everything that I was trying to do. So that was my first, I think that was when I got to college and really got to have some different experiences. I really started to see, okay, this is why I'm drawn to this music, and really went for that as an area of specialization.
Your music is what I see as genius, because not only do you play it, you wrote it. It's just beautiful music, and how you are able to blend Baroque music, which is from centuries ago, to pair it with your Chickasaw heritage. And the other layer of this is storytelling.
The Chickasaws will have to leave their homes and everything they've built in their homeland. Pa Isha and her family depart from Memphis on November 1st, 1838.
So I had always heard, the stories of my family. It's through my mom's side that I'm Chickasaw. And so I always heard stories from my grandparents and from her and my uncle, about our relatives, about our ancestors. And one of the first times that I came to the council museum, I remember walking in there and just looking around, and I saw this display about the Bloomfield Academy. Well, I had known that my third great grandmother got married at the Bloomfield Academy, right after the Civil War. She had met her husband. He was a Confederate soldier missing in action. And so the story goes is that they met on the banks of the Red River, and he had promised to come back and marry her after the Civil War, which they did. And they married as soon as Bloomfield Academy was reopened after the Civil War. And so I remember just seeing this photo of a music class at Bloomfield Academy of just a dozen or so Chickasaw women, all holding violins and guitars and mandolins and things. And I thought to myself, wow, what a full circle moment. There was obviously a reason I was drawn to this instrument, I felt like. And so that for me just spurred on just seeing how that, in fact, yes, my music interests and my heritage had all been connected all along. And so that was a big inspiration for me to compose the story of Pa Isha, which we premiered in November of 2023 in partnership with the Gitchigami and Indigenous Nations Museum. And, that was my first kind of big foray, if you will, into kind of combining all of my music heritages, styles, whatever you want to call them, you know, and premiering this big piece. And then from that continued research, I came upon lots of other stories within the Chickasaw Nation that I thought, again, music should serve the text. Music should serve the story and tell the story of, you know, Tishumiko and this fierce warrior who also had this very tender heart towards his people, and at the very end was helping families along the removal trail. And then, you know, Jonas Wolf, who might be the brother to my fourth great grandmother. We're still confirming that, but the words rugged integrity are really attached to him and everything that I've read about him. And then, of course, Lushanya, the songbird of the Chickasaws, the great native opera star who's touring all of Europe and, you know, having these amazing standing ovations. I think 3 hours of curtain calls after her opera. I wrote an aria for her, you know, to honor her that, you know, is makes some references to Verdi's Aida, which is the title role that she was known for. But it also has Chickasaw language, English language, and Italian language in the aria. And then, you know, Sadie Humes, the co-author of the first dictionary, and how she struggled in school and then putting together the dictionary with her husband, Jesse Humes, Reverend Jesse Humes, and just showing that it doesn't matter if you struggle in school, that you can be a major part of a language revitalization. Jesse Lindsay, which at the time, you know, I had a conversation with him at the Chickasaw Cultural Center. I was actually supposed to be someplace else and, you know, had run into a wall with my research and was kind of nudged, feel like, you know, God and my great-grandfather were kind of like, you should go back over to the Cultural Center. And so I did, and he happened to be there. And we had a long, hour-long conversation where he shared, you know, the flute origin story that was passed to him from Woodrow Haney, but he also shared with me his story about how, because I asked him, how did you start the flute? And so I combined those two stories, you know, the flute origin story and his story, you know, and honor him that way. Having these full circle moments, you know, that first premiere with the story of Paisha, that led, all of that were just, I think, just rumblings leading to this Songs of Chickasaws premiere that's coming up.
You grew up in College Station, Texas, graduated with music degrees from University of North Texas and Indiana University, a master's there in violin performance, specifically in Baroque. You're connecting with us from Chicago, where you are faculty on the campuses of DePaul University and Northwestern University. The music compositions you've written that really stand out are the ones about your Chickasaw ancestors. It's a beautiful legacy for your family, for your daughter, your 4-year-old daughter. How do you want to impact this next generation of Chickasaws through your music?
I think more than anything, I just want to encourage, you know, when you dig in the past, you find these treasures and they just open up more for you in the future. I think I want to convey that no life is insignificant. All of their stories are significant and led to something, you know, to somebody else. And that we all make our mark on this world. And so, and then just encouraging people to find their roots too, I think. Because I think you discover more about yourself the more you find out about your roots. And so the Chickasaw Nation is so rich with stories and people who have made a big impact, you know, not just in the Chickasaw Nation, but Chickasaws who are making an impact beyond the Chickasaw Nation in the past and now, and then also continuing.
Brandi Berry Benson says her musical talent is a God-given gift. It's her way to celebrate her family, Chickasaw heritage, and music. She shared that one of her biggest encouragers is Jared Tate, another brilliant Chickasaw classical music composer. He's a great mentor.
Look to hear more music from Brandi Berry Benson. You can learn more about her and her ensemble, the Bach and Beethoven Experience, at the web address on your screen.
Achompa is the Chickasaw Nation's newest online market. Achompa means a place to buy things. The online market gives people from all over the world a way to discover Chickasaw artists and purchase unique handmade items, Chickasaw press books, gifts, and more. Visit the website, achompa.com. The Chickasaw Cultural Center will host a week of celebrating Earth Day. Set for April 21st through April 25th, visitors will learn about water conservation, recycling, composting, and participate in other educational activities. Visit ChickasawCulturalCenter.com for more information.
The Three Sisters celebration is underway at the Chickasaw Cultural Center. This is one of the biggest events in Sulphur, Oklahoma during spring break. Families learn about the traditional planting methods involving what's known as the Three Sisters: corn, beans, and squash. The Three Sisters celebration is held March 17th through the 21st.
That's all the time we have for this episode of CNTV.
We'll see you next time.